What up, though, One Pride? This is the ROTL UK podcast, a podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Antony Fitzpatrick. I am the Brit with grit, and this is another Friday night, so you know what that means. You guys control the show. This is the Friday night Q&A where you can come ask me questions, and I will do my best to provide the answers, be it Detroit Lions, be it college football, whichever you want to have a chat about. My door is open, and you know I will try and answer everything I can. Hopefully everyone is doing well. A new weekend is upon us, and if you've chosen to spend some of your Friday night with me, I really appreciate it. See, Grandizer is in the chat already. Hope you are doing well, Grandizer. Good to see you as always. So yeah, for the next hour or so, depending on how long, depending on how many of you are in here, we'll get through as much as we can. I'll go through all the housekeeping and bits first, just while people roll into the building, and I have a couple of questions that have been pre-asked of me, so I can go through some of those as well. But obviously, ROTL UK Pod, you know us. If you want in on the Discord, then just let us know and we'll fire you across a link for that. It's a great place to come and chat with us all in person a lot more during the day, as and when, rather than just on the pods themselves. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, YouTube, Twitch, all that good sort of stuff. We really do appreciate that. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so give them a follow. We're monetized, we've got tip jar, all that sort of thing, so if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we love having you in the building to talk football with us. You always know that. Yeah, I think that's everything for that. In terms of shows, just shouting out some of the shows we've done last week. We chatted about Scheme on the main podcast. Me and Matt talking about maybe the new scheme, what we want to see from the Lions this upcoming season in terms of the offensive, defensive scheme. So if you've not checked that out, then please do go and give that a shout out. Go give it a watch. It was quite fun. The college football podcast is currently on hiatus, but it will be back very soon. I'm hard at work getting the conference previews done. Hopefully we'll be ready to go in a week or two with those, and there's been another batch of recruiting, including Michigan. Well done, son of Charles Woodson Jr. just committed to the Wolverines today, so the legacy goes on. He's a 4-star DB out of somewhere in Florida, can't remember exactly where, but he'll be going to the Wolverines, and I think it is 2028 he's part of that recruiting class. But yeah, I'm sure Wolverines fans are really looking forward to seeing him when he hits the field. There's a lot of hype behind him, but yeah, the college football podcast will be back soon, and yeah, we've got a ton of stuff we're going to do. And for the podcast itself, we are hard at work right now. We've just been in a creative meeting before this went live. We are redoing a lot of stuff. You're going to see we're doing a rebrand of the podcast, so when it gets to our 6th birthday, in a couple of months' time, I can't remember when, I think it's in August at some point before the season starts, we are officially doing a rebrand. We're redoing all our music, our graphics, all our stuff like that, which is going to be good fun. We're spending some decent money on it to be able to get it done. We are moving into the future because we've been around that long now, and you guys seem to want to put up with us and just keep going. So whatever you do, we will carry it on. So moving the podcast up to the next level, and we've got new content and stuff coming. So fear not, we are very hard at work trying to improve the pod and do some more short form content as well. And I know Grandizer will love that because he hates our long shows, but we appreciate you, anywho, Grandizer. See, Terry's in the building. He goes, "Hey, Antony, how are you?" I'm good, thank you. I hope you are well. I've just started a new job this week, and it's messed my sleep schedule around a little bit, but I'm adapting to it slowly but surely. Obviously, the schedule's out. That was fun. To see what the schedule's going to be and bits. So yeah, I'm good right now, and we've got plenty to keep my teeth into at the minute. We've got a lot of work going on, and I enjoy this part of the year, learning about all the new college prospects and that. So yeah, I'm in my element right now. I hope you are well. And I see my man Dan is in the chat lines, talk live. He goes, hey, hope you are doing well, Dan. That is going to be good to have you in the building. Chatted with you yesterday, I believe. Always love Dan, love the Jew crew, everything you do is absolutely tremendous work. So I hope you were doing well, Dan. Bob O'Lan is in the chat as well. He goes, no way. Is that in regards to the 6th birthday? I can't believe we're approaching 6 years. I mean, last year we did the 24-hour stream. That's nearly a year ago now. We're coming up on that. That seems crazy. It feels like a month or two ago we did the 24-hour stream. But yeah, approaching 6 years. How time flies. I was a sprightly 30 years old when we started this pod. I'm now 36 and greying in my beard. So as I say, yeah, Q&A time. Just anything you want to ask, just get it put in there. I have some questions from Mile Marker, and I kind of wanted to know that he was around before I started answering them. So I was going to try and put it off a bit. But I guess I can go through some of that stuff before. And obviously the big news this week, the Lions' schedule has dropped, and I want to get your thoughts about it. Obviously, I don't want to take too much away from the main pod on Monday, where the rest of the guys will get to have their say on it as well. Obviously, I don't want to hog that, but it's a very interesting schedule, let's just say. And I know Dan and Brad would never make excuses for it, but I think the Lions have been very hard done to with this schedule, despite the beat trying to convince people it's not. So for those who don't know, it starts off with the pre-season. We've got 3 pre-season games. We are away against the Bengals on the 13th of August. Then the Commanders come to Ford Field on the 23rd. And then we go to Lucas Oil to play the Colts on the 29th. So 2 road trips and a home game in the pre-season there. And then the season starts off in earnest. And we have a week 6 bye. Yes, once again, folks, we've been screwed with an early bye. And what is made even worse by that is we are obviously on a 9 home game, 8 away game schedule this year. Now, technically, it's 8 and 8 with the Germany game involved, but theoretically we have 9 home games and 8 away games. Our first slate of 5 games we've got features 3 away games, so we have less away games, but we are on the road a lot to start the year. Starting off against the Saints at home, then we are the first team going to Highmark Stadium to play the Buffalo Bills, the brand spanking new stadium they've got on Thursday Night Football, which, going to be our first late one of the year. Then we're at home to the Jets. And then we're on the road against the Panthers and the Cardinals. So I love the home slate to start the year. The Jets and the Saints, we should roll them over. But the Bills and the Panthers are both very tough away trips. Before the game against Arizona, where you'd figure that's a bit easy as well. So that first 5 isn't too bad. You see 3 definite wins in there. The Bills and the Panthers are going to be good acid tests of just how good this team is early on. But yeah, it's an interesting first 5 with 3 away games in there. Then we hit the bye. Then we have a huge run of home games. So we've got the Packers and the Vikings at home. Then we're on the road to Grandizer's Miami Dolphins on November the 8th. Then we've got the international game in Germany. We are playing the Patriots, which is going to be a good one. Mike Vrabel is going to get to go on a honeymoon with Diana Rossini and get to explore Germany while he does so. And then we got the Bucks and the Bears at home. So that is a sequence where we've got technically 5 home games out of 6, even though 1 is technically an international game. No bye, no rest after the international game either. Then we're away to the Falcons, at home to the Titans, and then the last month of the year, which I take great umbrage to, we have 3 of 4 away games. So not only are we playing less away games this year, but 3 of the first 5 are away games, and then 3 of the last 4 are away games. And not only that, it's every single NFC North road trip is in the last month of the year. We're away at the Vikings. Then we've got the Giants at home on Monday Night Football, one or the other. And then we've got to go to Chicago and Green Bay. Having all 3 NFC North road trips in the last month of the year is insane. And if you get to that Tennessee game, you get to that last month and the division is on the line. And we have got to go to Minneapolis, Chicago, and Green Bay within 4 weeks, I think that I don't get it. Like, yes, we've got a soft shell in the middle of the season where we're at home a lot, but asking us to do 3 road trips in 4 weeks to our divisional rivals, they're tough, man. Doesn't matter how good these NFC North teams are and that, they're always tough games, no matter how good or bad a team is, and I think it's massively unfair that we've got to do them all in the last month of the year. It's just, it's a weird schedule for me, but the team are not going to use it as an excuse. And, you know, neither should they. But me as a fan, I have the luxury of being able to whinge about this. And I think we've been done big time here. With the first three of the first 5 been away, with the lack of a break after the Germany game, with the absolutely brutal end of season schedule on the road as well. Yeah, I'm not too keen on it, but I'm interested to get your thoughts on it and what you feel. Really, obviously, you know, there's a lot there. Terry goes, we have the Bills early. That's going to be a big acid test for me, and it's on a short week as well. So you play the Saints first up, and then you're on a short week going to Buffalo. Like that. Even though there's no McDermott there anymore, they are still a litmus test for one of the better teams in the league. And for me, you need to put your foot down early, and you've got to get a signature win early. I wouldn't like losing in Buffalo. Like, I feel like we should be beating teams like Buffalo, given what they're going through at the minute. And I don't think it's the best roster in the world either. They've had turnover, new head coach. Hopefully we're able to catch them cold at the start of the season, and they're, you know, new stadium now, so the weather doesn't really make an impact. But yeah, you got them early. It's a big test for you. We'll have to see how it is. He goes, the Bills game is a must-win. Yeah, I mean, obviously in the definition of a must-win, it's not. But for me, I would be disappointed if we lost it. We need to get to the playoffs this year. We need to put down a marker, and you know, you've got to have a good start. With that last month of the year, you've got to have a good start to this year. And your next road game after that is the Panthers. And I think the Panthers are getting heavily disrespected. I'm not looking forward to that trip to Carolina this year. I think they're a much better team than people give them credit for. That's going to be tough. So, yeah, I think the Bills one is... I want to see some marquee wins this year. We don't have many marquee games against some of the best teams. So, for me, the Bills is one that you've got to go out there and show that you can compete with them. Because a lot of the teams we'll be playing probably won't be in contention. But we will see with that one. Bob Olan goes, yeah, that's some BS, Imo. I think it is as well. Like, again, the team won't complain about it, but just having those 2 clusters of road games when we've got less road games this year, and the point of the season they're at, and getting another early bye again, which is just a nightmare. Like, you know, you've got a week 6 bye. When you get to week 14 and 15 and you're starting that NFC North road schedule, you have been playing consistent football for over 2.5 months at that point. And your roster's going to be banged up and it's going to be hurting, and you know, you're probably going to have some depth issues getting tested. And then you've got to go to all 3 NFC North rivals on the road to finish out the season. Like, if there's anything in the balance, that could really stretch your team before you hit the playoffs. So I don't know why they couldn't change it round, where you could have a couple of them early, a couple of them late, but not putting all 3 of them in the last 4 weeks. I don't know if it's unprecedented or not, but I feel like it doesn't happen very often, where you get all 3 conference games on the road, all 3 division games on the road in the last month of the year. I know our Steelers compadres over here sort of complained about schedule as well, so they may have had to go through it as well. But I don't think it's an occurrence that happens very often. And yeah, I don't like it. Lisa's in the building. Hope you are doing well. Lisa, good to see you as always. Hope you were recovered from your trip. I believe last week when we did this, you were driving from Florida. Or you're driving to Florida. Oh, no, you're driving to Cal, sorry, from Arizona, I think it was. I hope the trip went well and you got there all right. Lisa goes, it's straight BS. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people like the schedule and how it's done this year. Obviously, if you can win 3 or 4 of those games before the bye and be like 4-1 going into the bye, then you've got that big run of home games. So you could be sort of, you know, 9-1, 10-2, something like that before you hit that last month. So you can put yourself in a good position, but it almost puts you under pressure to start quick, because if you don't start quick this year, then it's going to be tough to recover it. So yeah, I think it's straight BS as well. And yeah, that seems to be the prevailing feeling right now. Lisa goes, we will be cold early also. Yeah, you're right, we will be cold early. But one thing we have is, they obviously, Buffalo going through coaching change. I know Brady's technically part of the staff from there before, but they are going through coaching change. We are not. So I'm hoping from that point of view we're a little more orientated in that. I know we got a new OC, but the overall management and that, I'm hoping that we've got more into place, and that the Bills are still trying to figure out themselves under Brady by the time we get there still. So I'm hoping we can catch them cold that way. Bobo Langos, playoffs, better win the NFC hands down. I mean, I'm at that point now, like my expectations for this year, and it's still early yet, but my initial expectations is I want to get back to the NFC Championship game. At worst, I want to be in the divisional round. I want playoff wins. And, if we get to the divisional round and we get bounced by, like, the Rams or someone like that really good, then I could probably just about live with that. But my expectations are high this year. Like, divisional round is bare minimum. Anything below that, and I'm going to start complaining a lot. So, yeah, we've really got to pull our socks up and go this year. But ideally, you get back to the championship game for sure. I don't care how they do it. I don't care about the NFC North. If we have to scrape through as the 7th seed, fine. Just as long as you make the playoffs and you start playing your best ball when you're in the playoffs. I don't care. That's always my motto. NFC, divisional titles for me mean really very little. We all want a Super Bowl, and that's what it is. And did you see the graph that showed teams' strengths of schedule from easiest to hardest? Poor Cards, who did they insult? Well, you forget the Cards have 3 double-digit win teams in their conference. Like that, so 6 of their games, a third of their season, just to begin with, is against double-digit divisional opponents. So, before you even look outside of the conference, yeah, you've got to take that into consideration. And then we finished 4th. Obviously, we had our 9 wins, etc. So, it is kind of been a bit brutal this year. A couple of teams a couple of good teams fell off last year because of injuries and finished 4th. This is not the easiest year to have a 4th place schedule when you're bad like those. But at the end of the day, strength of schedule, I'm not saying it's a myth, but I don't believe in it very much. Teams get better. The whole point, if you're playing a 4th place schedule, you're playing a lot of teams who've picked high in a draft, who've probably made coaching changes, and are probably going to be better than they were last year, unless you're the Jets. So, it's going to be tough regardless. But yeah, the Cardinals are in a stacked division right now, and even their content creators kind of, the guys we had on during the draft, they were all like, yeah, this is going to take some time for us to get back on parity again. So I do feel sorry for them. They're probably going to be in play for the number 1 pick this year, I reckon. But depending on how the college season goes, that could be a good thing. You'll get your new quarterback of the future for sure. So, one more bad year and potentially it starts getting better. Again, a loss to the Bills shows we are not ready for our strength of schedule is tough. Yeah, again, with it being week 2, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances around it, but I'm with you. I like to beat good teams, and I like to put a marker down. Like, if some people, like beat writers, whatever, would say, oh, if you start 2-1, if you beat the Saints and the Jets, a 2-1 start's not bad. But it's like, well, yeah, but the Saints and the Jets are both awful football teams. I want to beat the good football teams on my schedule because they're who we're going to be playing in the playoffs, and you don't want a season of knocking over bad teams and then get into the playoffs and then the talent disposition just go really up and you get knocked out early. So yeah, for me, I you've got to get that identity back. The Bills can be beaten. We nearly beat the Bills on Thanksgiving, like at the start of this reign under Campbell when we were a bad team. Like, we can go toe to toe with them. It's just Josh Allen. He's human. So I do want us to really go there and win and put down a marker. I would actually rather prefer to lose one of the Saints or Jets games and it be a fluke and win at Buffalo than the other way round. So yeah, it does mean a lot there. Grandizer goes, I heard that the Lions have their schedule on the easy side. Not the easiest, but leaning in that area. By number, no, it's not the hardest. It's like 6th or 7th easiest. But again, it's all comparable. Like, what is strength of schedule is just by teams' records last year. I don't think you can take much into it. You look at it and technically it's tough. Like, the 3 NFC North road games are not easy. You've got to go to Buffalo. You've got to go to Carolina. So your away schedule could potentially be tough. And then you've got to go, Atlanta. For as bad as they are, Atlanta always play as close. It usually comes down to the last drive of the game every time against Atlanta. And then, the Dolphins. Who knows what the Dolphins are doing at that point? But it's not easy. And then the home games are a lot better. Like, the biggest home games you've got is the Bucs. And, like, the Bucs are tough, but they've lost a lot of that front seven. They've lost what makes them Tampa. So I would expect to beat them at home. So, I don't think the away schedule's that easy in retrospect. So that's going to be tough. The home slate, I would expect us to win at least all but one of those home games. The Bucs one's the only one I'm looking at going, that could be tough, but I'd expect us to win all the others. But yeah, it's all relative. It could end up being tough. Like there's always one team. Like the strength of schedule will change by the end of the year, depending on how teams do. So, it will evolve. It will probably get tougher for us as we go. So yeah, it's just not easy at all. Any given Sunday, anyone can beat anybody. Lisa goes, I'm in California with my kitties at my new home and just got paid for the sale of my Florida house. That is good. Glad it's all gone well. Hope you're enjoying it there in Cal. I imagine it's a lot warmer than it is here right now. So, yeah. Hope that's all gone well. Grandizer goes, unless you want to wait till Monday, what are the Lions' trap games, if any? Ooh, trap games. All right, let's have a look. Trap games. Let's have a look. Saints, no, I think we're going to beat them. Jets, no. I don't know whether people will call the Panthers a trap game or not. I think if on paper, because we're favoured in 14 of 17 games. The only games we're underdogs in are away at the Bills, away at the Bears, and away at the Packers. But I think Carolina's a trap game. People would expect us to beat Carolina, but I think they're much better than they're given credit for. That's the one I'm really not looking forward to, is Carolina, because I think they're the ones, they could certainly upset us, for sure. I don't think the Cards will. Patriots, Tampa, Falcons could be another trap game. I know they've not got it easy at quarterback at the minute, but again, Atlanta, just every game I can think of in recent memory, we've struggled with them. And we've had some close wins, close losses. So, I think the Falcons could certainly be a trap game as well. For the road games, Atlanta and Carolina. At home, are there any trap games? Maybe the Giants. That's obviously towards the end of the year, but we're going to be in that brutal end of season run away from home by then. And if the Giants have something to play for, it's in prime time as well. And if Harbaugh gets that team running, because that defense could be really good, I think the Giants could be a trap game for sure. Outside of that, no, I don't think there are any others. So I would say at Carolina, at Atlanta, and at home to the Giants, they're the trap games for me. They're the ones that can really transform your season. Outside of that, I'm not terribly worried. Do I think Arch Manning will bounce back this season? So talking a bit collegiate stuff. Yes, I do. Purely because of the supporting cast they've brought in with him. I don't think he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. I think he's just hyped up to be that, but You bought in Hollywood Smothers as a running back 1. You've bought in Cam Coleman for him, who's just going to be an absolute menace. Like, they've invested some massive assets in that team in terms of the offense, giving him a better chance to succeed. Because I know at the start of last year they were struggling with depth chart issues at running back, and they had a few things they were sorting. But as I say, you've bought in Cam Coleman. You've already got Ryan Wingo there. Like, that's good in itself. You've bought in Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown at running back. They're both tremendous. So you've really got he's got no excuse this year. He really hasn't if it doesn't go well for him. So in terms of the supporting cast, he should be better for that. But I still don't think he's one of the better QBs in college football. I think I've got him outside my top 5. I do, genuinely. He just needs to show more. He's got the tools, but he needs to show it better for me. So we'll see. But yeah, he should bounce back with what they've invested in that team is the answer there. To me, schedule refers first to timing. Yeah, schedules can mean a lot with timing. You catch teams early, cold. There could potentially be a lot of good teams. Like the Giants, you could probably catch them cold early, but they might get into a groove early and then become big contenders by the end of the year. You want to play them earlier rather than later. So there's a lot of things that come into the schedule debate rather than just the stats from years gone by. But again, it's really tough to work out on its own. I mean, you know, touch wood, doesn't happen, but if, let's say, Jared Goff gets injured in preseason and he's out for the entire year, then all of a sudden that strength of schedule becomes a lot tougher because you don't have a good quarterback on your roster. It's like, you know, it's such a fluid situation. What should be easy games could be tough games if you've got players out and that. So, you know, hopefully it doesn't, but, you know what I mean. And this year, is there a team that the Lions have the longest drought against? A team they've not beaten in a while? Ooh, that's a really good question, that is. And you would do it just as I'd gotten the depth chart away. So just let me get the schedule up again. Obviously, I can't go through all 17 teams at once, but I'm going to take a swing because we don't play them very often. I'm gonna research one team because most of the others I can think of, but I don't know if. Yes, so we've not beaten the Bills since 2006, and we've played them 5 times since then. We've played them 2 times under Dan Campbell, and we've lost. The first one in 22, which we should have won. And then, obviously, the one 2 years ago, the big 48-42 game or whatever it was. So we've only lost by a combined 8 points to them in the last 2 games when our team has not been as good. So Buffalo, that's a 20-year losing streak now. Obviously, five games in that time. I'm just trying to think. The Jets we have. The Panthers... The Panthers could be a weird one because the last time we played the Panthers was when they denied us getting into the playoffs, when they absolutely obliterated us in the second to last game of the season. We beat them in 22 the year before. No, hang on. No, we beat them in 23. Yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll take that one out of the equation. So Panthers are not in that scenario. Yeah, certainly the Bills. I don't know if there's a longer one than the Bills that we've got right now. Let me just have a look. Arizona, we've beaten them loads. Packers, Vikings, Dolphins, Patriots. Ooh, Patriots and Lions. That might be an interesting one just to take a little look at. History. I don't recall beating them. They whitewashed us. So we're not beating the Patriots since 2018, but we've only played them once since then. So technically that's a streak. But Yeah, they shut us out in that first year, in the second year of Dan. That was where we got really mad and we wondered if the Dan Campbell experiment was working or not, because we got shut out twice in not a long amount of time by the Cowboys and the Pats. That was rough, for sure. Who else we got on here? Falcons we've beaten in recent years. Titans we've beaten. Giants, I'm sure we've beaten them at some point. So yeah, Buffalo, I think for sure we need to reverse that one. 5 defeats in a row to them. Yeah, we just apparently don't like playing them, and then they've not even been a good team for a lot of that time. The last 2 they have, but before that they were decidedly average. So, but yeah, Buffalo I would say is that one. 2020 years is a long time, but we've broken a lot of our big streaks now. So, congrats on the new job, and hey, appreciate it. I'm working nights, which is not ideal, but it's steady work, good money, so I'm not going to complain. I'm like Ash. Me and Ash are both night owls now. Lions got no reason to be afraid of any other team in the NFL. No, everyone should be afraid of us, but we can beat anyone on our day for sure. And on Monday, not only will the Lions go through the schedule, can we do this year prediction for Lions MVP, defensive MVP? Yeah, we'll do our predictions. I don't know if we do pre-season predictions. I don't think we have we? I'll put it to the guys, Grandizer. I don't think we'd do it now. We want to get closer to the season first, because obviously players get injured or whatnot. But we can give some initial thoughts on it. So yeah, we will do that. Who's your rookie who will show up in training camp? Eric Hunter. Every single day of the week. And an extra Tuesday as well. Hunter's the one who's going to show out big time. I think he's going to be amazing during there. But if you're talking about the actual drafted guys, I think Abney will shock everybody. I'm just so looking forward to watching Keith Abney play for the Lions. I think he's one of those who could really put himself. I think if McCreary doesn't play well, or if McCreary doesn't train well, then you could have an issue there where potentially he might usurp him before the season starts. So, like Abney from the drafted ones, and then Hunter from the undrafted ones. They're my picks for who shows up in training camp out the most fun. But I think they all will, to be fair. I think I do like the crop for the most part this year. I need to refresh your internet acting up. Well, it's not mine this time, so hopefully that's there. 2006, yeah, it is a long time. I was in diapers in 2006. I was 17. Oh, I was 16 in 2006, so I was just finishing my GCSEs. That's what I'll have been doing. And I got 16 of them, weirdly enough. 16 GCSEs at 16. I think it was. So I did alright for myself, or even if I didn't translate it since. But yeah, that was that. Right, I know Mile Marker is in the building. I've seen him in there. So, whilst I've caught up on the comments, I believe I have. Mile Marker did ask me some questions, and as always, I appreciate you all when you do that. So I do my best to answer as many as I can. So we got the collegiate football bits first. So of course, anyone who knows Mile Marker knows that he loves his Golden Gophers and he loves his North Dakota State Bison as well. And he's asked if there are any positions or players that he should be watching for this year with those two specific teams. Now with the Bison, we'll do that a little later in the off season because obviously FCS stuff is tougher, and we're going to get Zach on for that because Zach will know a lot more than we do. I've got a couple of names here, but I want to start with the Golden Gophers first, and there are two specific areas I'm looking at with Minnesota this year, which I'm really looking forward to be fair. The first is their quarterback. Now, let's take his arrest out the equation because I think that's all been dealt with and that now, but Drake Lindsay is becoming a very tantalising prospect. And I've actually seen some draftniks, some very well-respected draftniks, have Drake Lindsay in their top 5 quarterbacks in the country. Not just in general, in the country. in terms of what he can bring. Now, given he's 6'5" and he's 220 pounds, so 6'5" is a beautiful size for a quarterback. He's tall, first and foremost. Obviously, it was his redshirt freshman last year, so you've got the size and the athletic ability that you want at the position, but there were certain things that really stood out with him last year. Now, the team around him wasn't good, and that kind of factors into some of the more average numbers with him, but when they did a deep dive on some of the metrics that he can control, not like his receivers and stuff like that, but his error rate, the turnover rate, for where he is as a redshirt freshman, they were both lower than expected, which means he's taking care of the ball better. He can throw it downfield, like he's got a cannon of an arm on him. Minnesota don't really deploy it that well, so you don't get to see it too much. But he's 6'5" and he can hit 50, 60 yards down the field quite comfortably, which is obviously a big thing for him. And the motion and the mechanics he has are really good. There are no sort of adjustments that need to be made with it. So technically, he's a very good thrower of the football, and he's got the range to do a lot more with it. And obviously, he's coming into his second year as a starter now, so he's going to keep improving. Like, that mid-range game will get better, the deep threat game will get a bit better, and hopefully the team that's been put around him will do better as well. I know they've made some changes on their staff. Receivers were a nightmare for them last year. He had a lot of problems with his receiving core. They've switched out their receiver coach this year, so Minnesota have a new wide receivers coach. And all you Detroit Lions nerds might know this name, but the ones who know anyone and everybody, so he's called Isaac Frickty. He played for the Lions. I think it was 2017. We got him from Minnesota, only very briefly. But he's a former NFL wide receiver. He's been the offensive coordinator at North Dakota these last few years, and they've ran one of the best offenses in the FCS. Like, he's done a really good job there with their receivers and their offense in general, and they've brought him in as a receivers coach, and they've bought well in the portal as well. So Drake Lindsey's receiver core is going to be much better this year. They got Perry Thompson out the portal from Auburn. He's 6'3", 210 pounds. He's going to be the perimeter threat for Lindsey this year. I think Perry Thompson could be a massive breakout this year if you're looking for guys there, but you've got a better receiving core. You've got a new receiver coach, because it's just not been working the last few years with receivers. You've got Darius Taylor fully fit and healthy again in the running back room. So, and the offensive line's been changed up as well. They're actually playing everyone where they should this year. So that offense should be better. If they sort of open up Lindsey's arm a little bit, I think you're going to see a lot more from him. And at worst, he's going to have a good season, and he's probably going to transfer to a bigger program. But I'm really excited by Drake Lindsey. I liked him last year. I like what he brings to the table. I just wish Minnesota would do more with him. Obviously, they like to run the football. They like to do the ground and pound. But they've given him weapons to throw out downfield now, so hopefully that gets there. So Drake Lindsey, and I know it seems obvious stating the quarterback marker, but his potential is first round pick, and a big one at that. So you watch him for sure. And then the other area is the defensive line. I can't tell you how excited I am by this Minnesota defensive line this year. It is going to eat for days. Starts with your edges. Obviously, Antony Smith has come back for another year, which was huge for them. He's been a game wrecker these last few years for Minnesota, and he's going to potentially be a first-round draft pick with another good season. He's going to, re-establish the line of first-round picks from there, but it's who they've paired with him. They've paired TJ Bush, and those of you who watch the College Pod will know how much I love TJ Bush. He's a transfer from Cal. He was at Liberty before that. 6'3", 265 pounds. Over the last 2 years, got nearly 80 quarterback pressures, 11 sacks. He's pretty good against the run. He's really good in coverage as well for a coverage edge, but he's explosive. He's got some great bend to his game, and he lives for getting in the backfield and sacking quarterbacks. And TJ Bush and Antony Smith together I'm not saying hyperbole. They could be the best pair of edge rushers in the Big Ten next year. That's their ceiling. If TJ Bush hits the ground running, because I love him. I love them both, to be fair. So they're not going to have a problem with sacks and tackles for loss and bits like that next year off the edge. And then on the interior, they've made some really good transfers at defensive tackle as well. It's basically a new room, but they've bought in Naquan Crowder and Sid Carber from Marshall, and they've bought in Zion Chapman from Florida International. So Naquan Crowder is a big run stuffer. Nearly 30 tackles last year for him at Marshall. Sunbelt, obviously tough, a lot of good rushers in there. He's going to be the run-stuffing defensive tackle for Minnesota this year. And then you're pairing him with Zion Chapman. I mentioned him last year when we did the Florida International preview. His rise has been stunning. The season before last, he was playing at, I think it was Lackawanna, who are a Division II team. He came up to FIU last year, 4 sacks, whole bunch of quarterback pressures. He's really good rushing the passer, and he's made the move up to Minnesota, who obviously their defensive line coaching is some of the best in football. I think putting him and Naquan Crowder together, you've got a run stopper and you've got a pass rusher. And given that you've got TJ Bush and Antony Smith on the edge, Zion Chapman's going to get a lot of looks on that interior. I think he could low-key have a big year for them. It's another jump up for him, but he made the jump up from Division 2 to the Group of 5 last year, and he didn't look out of place whatsoever. So between that front four, Antony Smith, TJ Bush, Zion Chapman, and Naquan Crowder, I'm really excited about that for Minnesota next year. I think the transfers are going to absolutely knock it out the park, and yeah, I'm looking forward to those. Obviously, Maverick Baranowski, one of the best names in college football. He's back this year as well. Hopefully he stays healthy for the full year. That's going to be fun. It's just the secondary. They need to overhaul that secondary. And obviously they've lost Coy Perich this year, which was a massive loss for them. But if they can get it at least a little bit right, Minnesota could be a sneaky good team this year. You could win 8, possibly 9 games, depending on how you get on. So, yeah, Drake Lindsay at quarterback, and then that defensive line in general, mile marker. That is where you're looking with that Gophers team this year. The two that I'm really excited by. So we've got that. As for NDSU, obviously they're in the Mountain West for the first time this year. Their offensive prospects got taken. I know there's buzz behind the new quarterback, but it's defensively that I'm looking at this year for the Bison. The one who stands out by far and away more than anyone is Donovan Woolen. He's the linebacker / corner hybrid. They play him at middle linebacker, but they play him a lot at slot corner as well. He was a redshirt freshman last year. Broke out in the biggest way possible. 4 sacks, so they use him as they use him as like a pass rusher from the slot occasionally. They'll bring him up to the line as well. Had 80 tackles. He led the team in tackles, 40 run stops, 3 interceptions, 6 pass breakups. NFL passer rating against him was just 54, and he's going to be another of those interesting kind of hybrid-y types who play in the slot, who play at linebacker, plays a bit on the line. He's not a star linebacker per se, but he's 6'4", 220 pounds. Like, he's got some real good size to him. So, like, you know, a bit light for linebacker, hence why he plays in the slot. Obviously, for the slot, 220 is quite heavy, but works well. But 6'4" gives him a good pass rush presence as well, because he's got the height. Now, he's going to be at the Mountain West this year. We'll see how he does, but I really like the prospect of Donovan Woolen there, and what he'll become. 'Cause, you know, it's his second year as a starter, and his run defense is excellent as well. Again, 6'4", 220. Uses all that in his run defense. So, but obviously NDSU are up against better competition this year, so we'll see how he adapts. But Donovan Woolen is one to watch. The other one is Keenan Wilson, the defensive lineman. He's 6'1", 285, a little on the lighter side, but he is a very good... I mean, he's a very good all-round defensive tackle. Graded 88 against the run last year, but he's a good pass rusher. 26 pressures, 5 sacks, 5 QB hits, 2 forced fumbles, over 30 tackles from the interior last year. Got got a missed tackle rate slightly on the high side, but he was a first-year starter last year as well, and he's still pretty young as it goes, and obviously the Mountain Western defensive linemen are synonymous. He's another who could, with improvement, be one of the more talked about names on this team. So Donovan Woolen, the slot corner linebacker type, and then Keenan Wilson, the D tackle. They're the two I'd watch with North Dakota State this year. But as I say, we'll do more of a deep dive on them as and when we go. And as I say, we'll get Zach on, who will know a lot more about them than me as well. I've not really looked too much at them, but those were the guys that came to mind instantly. So hopefully that answers that for you, mile marker. But of course, we'll do full in-depth previews of the team before the season starts. But I do like that, especially like that Minnesota team this year. It gives me cause to be quite excited, especially that D-line. It'll be great. People will love it. And I have asked for this for years. The blokes won't listen, only Hank listens. Okay, I'll make sure that's done for you, Grandizer. We'll do pre-season MVPs and stuff like that. I listen to you, so trust me that we will do it. Steve listened to. He did. Gaviscon Cons in the chat, hope you're doing well. He goes, Ant, do you see a world where this all goes to shit? Goff gets hurt, Jack Campbell signs in a tax-free state, Miller is a bust, linebackers, cornerbacks are weak. I mean, of course there's a world where it goes wrong, right? Like, you've got to take all possibilities into consideration. Obviously, the biggest possibilities you mentioned is Goff gets hurt. We're not good enough at backup quarterback to be able to survive. And that would be the biggest concern. Of course, this is a very pivotal year for the Lions, and if you've listened to Q&As in the past, you'll know my thoughts on this. It's about the mentality of the team and the winning mentality and acting like a winner. If that doesn't take this year, then that could be a nightmare scenario for us, because that means the team might never take to it, and we might have found our ceiling. And then obviously injuries can hurt us. So there is a world where it could go wrong. If Campbell and Gibbs ask for too much money, obviously I don't foresee them going anywhere. But, we have to be realistic. We can't just say it's going to be great. There is a world it can go wrong. And the schedule kind of works for that. 3 road games to start off with. All you've got to do is slip up on one of the home ones, lose the Panthers and the Bills game, then you're playing from behind. And then you've got the international trip, which might take you out of them. There certainly is a world it can go wrong. Do I think it will? No. I do truly believe in the depth of my heart that they will get it right this year. And they will have a good season. But, you have to consider all possibilities. And there certainly is a possibility where it could all go wrong. This is the defining year for grit culture. You can't go 3 years without a playoff win. And, espouse grit culture. Because it's alright being gritty and playing tough. Excuse me. But if you don't win, players will eventually get fed up of that, and they'll stop believing in the message that you're sending out there. So, that's my worry this year. If you don't win a playoff game, is the whole system will collapse. And the whole grit culture thing will collapse, and then you've got a massive rebuilding job to do to try and get it back again. So I admit there is a possibility there, but like I say, in my heart of hearts, how I feel, I think they'll get it right. I think we've had our last year was the real wake up call. And from what they've done this off season so far, the way they've acted, they've finally started getting away from some of their more stubborn habits, and I think they've really listened. So yeah, I think they'll do well, but there is certainly a world where it could go wrong, for sure. We love Zach, we do indeed. Gavis Kongon goes, Mestamaker led the Mean Green to a record of 12-2 whilst passing for an FBS lead in 4,379 yards, 34 touchdowns. He did. This is going to be an interesting year for Drew Mestamaker. Oklahoma State have been, for want of a better word, absolutely awful the last few years. And that program needs a big kick in the backside, but he's taken his two best friends with him, Running back and wide receiver. Like, they've had a massive injection of talent at that program, so people say he might declare this year. I don't think he will. I don't think there's any world in which Drew Mestamaker declares for the draft this year. He's just not got the experience to do it. For me, you want to have 2 years at the power level first, but you look at 28, he'll be a big player in that. And I do have a soft spot for Oklahoma State as well. I like the Cowboys. That goes back to Malcolm, etc. So you want to see them return to relevance again. So Mestamaker for damn sure is right up there, and one of the best freshman quarterback seasons ever. Period. He deserves his respect for that. Marmarker goes, you got me fired up for the QB and his potential targets. Glad they got a new coach for the catches. Yeah, they needed to change it. They absolutely did. The wide receivers at Minnesota have not been good for a while. I don't know about the tight ends, but I know the receivers they've got some good ones out the portal. So pull him for you. You have got me invested in Minnesota vicariously. So, but there is some again, Bob Walker, I'm not just saying it. There are a lot of reasons to be optimistic this year, but obviously D-line was good last year. They just need to get that secondary sorted. Okay, so edges that will keep it going hard in the backfield. Yeah, got more run stuffers. Absolutely, it's going to be fun. Does EMU have a team this year? And I'm assuming EMU we're meaning Eastern Michigan, the Crate Train, one of my favourite ones. I've not done too much Mac stuff so far. Obviously, they had a disappointing year last year. They took a little bit of a step back, but I mean, it's going to be year 2 for Noah Kim. I think he showed good flashes last year. So at quarterback, I foresee them having a bit of a better situation this year, but I'd need to do a little bit more of a deep dive on the team first. But it kind of seems like they've hit a bit of a rut at the minute. But I will always bat for the Crate Train. So I'll need to do a little bit more of a dive on them, but as I say, I think they're one of the better suited teams at quarterback this year. I think Noah Kim's pretty good. Showed flashes at Michigan State. He's worked his way back up. So, yeah, I expect him to have a good year for sure, even if everything else goes wrong. And I think they were a little bit better on paper than they were given credit for last year. Obviously, it's been a couple of years, but Creighton always finds a way to get them going. So I would say their prospects will be pretty good. And the Mac's a massive cluster anyhow, so it's very easy to go from worst to first in there. But as I say, I'll do a bit more on them as we go along. Grandizer goes, Detroit Lions news, Delta Airlines adding 2 flights for Lions games in Germany. Yeah, and they cost like $3,000 per way. Like, that's terrible. You can, if you want to get over to Europe cheap from America, from where you are, go through Reykjavik, go through Iceland. It's much better to go through Iceland. Do a stop off and then come on over. It's a lot cheaper. There are a lot of flights from the US out to Iceland, and it's a lot shorter, and then Iceland to Germany's not too bad. So, if you want, and hopefully a lot of you will come across, because we'll all be there, so hopefully we'll get to see some of you in Germany and meet you for the first time, which will be quite fun. But yeah, don't do those Delta flights. I mean, when I come over to America eventually, I'll go through Iceland. I'll do it that way, because I go up to Iceland a lot on holiday anyhow. I'll probably do a stop off over there first, but that's the cheaper way to do it. Always look for the cheaper ways. That's my travel advice for you there. Go through Iceland. Don't go direct. If we can stay mostly healthy, we should have a good sleep. A schedule. Yeah. Hopefully we stay. We've got no carryover injuries this year, apart from Branch. Like last year, we had a lot of carryover injuries, like Aleem, Rodrigo, like guys who just weren't healthy for the season to start with, which didn't help. And then obviously Pascal and Levi and everyone didn't even make the season and didn't even play for us. So we're in a much better position injury-wise now, because as I say, there's only Branch who's not gonna make it right now. Everyone else as it stands, should be healthy, including Kirby. So, that's a better start for us off the bat, that everyone's going to have, for the most part, full off seasons, which are critical. So, hopefully we'll get it there eventually. And is there a coach on the Lions staff that might be a name for a promotion on the Lions or another team? Offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, or a head coach? My initial thought is no, not now. Let's see. Hank could be what Hank's had looks at offensive coordinator. I remember the Seattle job, they came in for him. If Blake Miller hits the ground running this year, if the Lions re-establish their offensive line this year and get back to where they are, Hank could get some looks. Now, he would probably go to a team where they have an offensively minded head coach, like Ben Johnson, who will call the plays, and Hank will be more of a... He'll be a run game coordinator, basically masquerading as an OC. But people will want him, and they will give him the title of OC to do it. So I think Hank could be certainly in that conversation. The rest of the offensive staff, maybe Scotty Montgomery's still with us. Maybe he might get a look as well. I know he has had some looks, so potentially there. Defensively, I don't think so. Not right now. I'm just thinking Duca, no. D-line coach shouldn't even have a job right now. Maybe Dion. I know Dion Hamilton's very highly thought of, so potentially Dion Hamilton might get a look, especially if the likes of Hunter and Rolder come along at linebacker. I know obviously it's Kelvin's bag, but Dion Hamilton could certainly get a look. Like, he'd be the dark horse outsider as of right now who could do it. I think Hank and Scotty would be the main ones who have... Not Scotty, I don't know if Scotty's still here. I could be really wrong on that. I feel like I might be wrong. I'll say Hank is the big one, and then Dion Hamilton is the outside one. I don't think there's anyone else right now. Kelvin needs a big bounce back year at DC. I think even if Kelvin has a good year, he's not going anywhere. He needs to stack 2 or 3 good years together before he starts getting head coach looks. Or if Dan gets fired for whatever reason, I think Kelvin might get a look. And Petson's new here, so Petson's not going anywhere. So, yeah, those are me 2 there, Grandizer, for that. And Lions team position ranking predictions. Lions offense, top 5, top 15. I can't do that right now, Grandizer. We will do that as the off-season goes, though. We'll rank our positional groups against others. But that requires a lot of thinking off the top of my head right now, and I wouldn't be able to do that. We've got the best receivers in the NFL. We've got the best receiving core in the NFL, hands down. I'll tell you that much. And, anyone who disagrees can go argue with a tree, because I think our receivers are the best there is. So, yeah, I would do that. I think the offensive line's quite high as well. But outside of that, I'm not sure. We'll see. And Goff would be a lot higher on my lists than a lot of others as well. People still disrespecting Jared Goff. It's crazy. Someone the other day, I can't remember who it was, we called them out on Twitter. Someone said they would rather have Kyler Murray on their team than Jared Goff. I can't remember who it was, but we just laughed. I think I put up some gif of someone talking about smoking crack cocaine, because that's how bad you have to be. But there are legitimately people out there who have dumbass takes on Goff like that. Like, in no world would I loved Kyler Murray. In the draft process, I adored Kyler Murray, and I still think Kyler Murray is a very good quarterback. I still think there's someone to reclaim in there for him. But you could ask me 100 times out of 100 who I would prefer between him and Goff wins every time. Hands down, without a doubt. There are some crazy people out there who just disrespect Goff madly. Ant Fitzpatrick's Lions coaches who are on Ant's hot seat if they don't meet expectations. Oh God. Let me go through hot coaches. Hang on. Lions coaches who are on Ant's hot seat if they don't meet expectations. Well, there's a clear winner here, because I've already asked for his job because I don't think he's done well enough. But let me just get the list up and we'll see if we can rank them. Is anyone in danger? Petson, no. Scotty Montgomery is here, so no. Brunel, no. Tashard Choice, no. Fraley, no. No one on offense is in danger for me. On defense, by far and away, it's Casey Rogers. I'm not even kidding at this point. I don't think he should be here now. I think he's done a terrible job with the defensive line. I know they were higher in sacks last year, but the run game stuff was not very good. There's been no development of their technique. Run game technique, winning one-on-ones off the line of scrimmage, moving guys round, and it's just not worked. Whether it's more of a team thing, messing around with it, but Casey Rogers for me is on a massive hot seat, more than anybody else. And if that defensive line doesn't do its job early, I'd can him during the season and I'd look for somebody else. Outside of that, no, not really. I'll give Deshae Townsend more time because I think the secondary's just been so destroyed by injuries. I'd give him more time there. And the rest of them I've got no issues with whatsoever. Kelvin's not even close to being on a hot seat for me. He could have another bad year, I'd still believe in him. Outside of that, no. I think Casey's the only one who I really have any concerns about right now. Everybody else is alright. Maybe tight ends, we need to see a bit more from Steve Oliver this year, possibly. The tight end group, got to get more out of them, got to get better a bit blocking. So Steve Oliver's on a slightly hot seat for me. Minor, very minor on offense, but Casey Rogers is the big one. By far. But as the main coordinators and that, no, there isn't anyone. Who's taking the starting left guard spot this year? Frazier or Mahogany or another? In an ideal world, it's Mahogany. I still think he's the best of them all. But the simple answer is whoever does better in training camp and in preseason. It sounds a cop-out answer, but, Mahogany's just... If Mahogany can stay injury-free, I think he wins hands down, but he can't. Frazier's thing is he can stay a little bit more healthy, but I'm not as high on Frazier as everyone else is. I don't think Scruggs is really going to go for it, and Barch is fine, but I think if you put them all together, I think Mahogany's got the potential to be the most talented of them all, and they stick with him. For a 6th round pick, they have continued to stick with him and give him opportunities, so they obviously see something with him as well. So for me, Mahogany wins it if he stays healthy. Any minor knocks or anything, then we could have issues, but I still expect Mahogany to take it landslide, and I want him to succeed. I really, really do. I have a soft spot for Boston College guys, apart from Will Harris. Who takes a step back in the NFC North? The Packers. I think the Packers are gash. I think the Packers are due for some real regression, and they're going to have a lot of problems this year. I mean, I know the Vikings is the easy fruit, but I think the Vikings were the worst team in the conference last year. Even if we finished last, I think they have more of a talent deficiency than everyone else. So I don't think they're going to regress to the means as much as the Packers. I think the Packers will regress massively. They had a terrible draft. I don't know if they've sorted their problems in free agency. I think there's more questions than answers, and I just don't think Jordan loves it. So, yeah, the Packers will take the step back for me. Season. Hank has had the offer to go to OC before. Not sure he wants that job. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wants to finish the process here. But maybe he's just waiting for the right opportunity. I don't know, but he's had looks. I think he will continue to get looks. There are now 31 other teams who would probably kill for him now that Dinky's retired, Stoutland's retired from Philly. So there will be a lot of teams who would kill to have him there. And again, someone who's maybe offensively orientated as head coach, but I think he would still get looks. Goff gets so much crap from the East. Yes, he does indeed. Scotty Montgomery is the new wide receiver coach. Yes, I was right. I'm thinking of the guy who went to the Patriots. And I can never remember his name. That's why I was getting confused. But Scott is certainly, he will be in the mix for a job offer if he does well this year. Like with Tesla, if you can get Kendrick Law going as well, that'd be tremendous. You've got 2 bona fide wide receiver ones already, but you get that depth room up, you're going to be in high demand for sure. And is this a quiet elephant in the room with A-Chain getting paid? Where does that leave Gibbs? How much should he get paid? This is a point of contention right now. What is A-Chain's contract is pretty big as well, and it's over 4 years, I believe. I've not seen the specifics of it. Is it Devon A-Chain? Have I spelt it wrong? 4 years, 64 million for him. So that averages out at what, 16 million a year? 6 fours, 24, 40. Yeah, so I think he's now the 3rd highest paid receiver running back by means. But again, the market set by Barkley and Henry doesn't count for me because they're 2-year deals. They're both at 20 mil a year, but they're shorter contracts. I don't want to be handing out 20 million a year for 4 or 5 years because it's too risky. And the Lions generally tend to guarantee a lot of money to their to their picks. For me, there is a quiet elephant in the room. If you start talking about amounts like 23, 24, if you start getting closer towards 25 than 20, then we're going to start having conversations. Or I would anyhow. Because I think it would be too much. And I wouldn't want to risk it on a position that can be so injury prone and where drop off can happen like that. Ideally, how much should he get paid? I would love him to get like a 4 or 5 year deal, maybe 4 years, and you get a little bit more than A-Chain. So you get 18, 19 million a year over 4 years, and you get a bit more guaranteed. I don't want to be going up to near 25 for him, which some people have suggested. 23 seems to be the ballpark that a lot of people throw out there. Unless you're going to do a 2-year deal with him. And you're going to do a shorter deal, and I just don't think they'll do that. The shorter the deal, the higher the price I'll endure. The longer the deal, the lower the price. That's how it works for me. So, 4 years, 19 million. So what's that? 72? No, 76. Yeah, 4 years, 76 million, something like that. I'd do that with, say, 50 million guaranteed and the opportunity to make more, and have sort of like the last year where you can get out of it on cheap if you don't want to, where the guaranteed money runs out. But I think that's my ceiling for it. I know a lot of other, and I love Gibbs. He's going to break every record apart from Barry's. But there's a ceiling. There's got to be a ceiling. There really does. If you're going to overpay somebody or pay market value, it's got to be Campbell. But Gibbs is the same, so yeah. 4 years, 19 million a year is what I go for. Or 2 years, and then I'll do 22 or 23. But I'm not going 4 years, 24, 25 million. Just, no, that's too much. Too much. Even though he's a transcendent talent, it's too much. I know a lot of Lions fans will have they'll pay him whatever. They'll pay him the king's ransom and more to keep him. I think there has to be a conversation about having a cap limit to it. I would hope as well that he wouldn't be asking for the earth either. Like, just a good deal, compensated. The Lions will look after you. They'll renegotiate the deal if it suddenly comes out of favour. So yeah, 4 years, 19 million, that's what I'd do. I wouldn't go above that, much above it anyhow. Offensive assistant Dan Skipper is the rookie coach of the year. He has a good point of view. He could be. We'll see how he does, but he could be one of those long term. Like he's passionate. Like he will give his 150% and the rest. I know he will. So certainly some of these players who are like the fringe periphery players who never quite made it as a starter, sometimes they make the best coaches. They really do. So it should be fun. And he's got a great mentor to learn from as well. So in a few years, who knows? Like, at least you keep Hank for at least 2 more. And then I think Skip will be ready to take over after that. So, but he certainly could be assistant of the year. If Gibbs is not on his rookie contract, then should he get his contract reworked for more money? No. you set big deals and you carry on with the rookie deal. I mean, he's a first round pick. He's earning decent money anyhow this year, regardless of whether he gets the new deal or not. So, you know, it's a case of course, you've got the escalator at the end of the contract as well. So he makes $6 million this year, something like that. They've got the 5th year option, which they've used, which is just over $14 million. So, you know, he's going to be well compensated next year, regardless. Like, if they don't do, like, you'll use the club option anyhow. So you've got over 14 million coming in the bank next year. That's going to put you up around the highest paid guys already, and then you'll have a big contract after that. So I don't think there's no need to rework the deal or anything like that. No point having rookies on rookie contracts if you're going to rework them beforehand. He's in year 4, and we've still got the 5th year option on the table. So, you know, we don't need to rush just yet with him, and I wouldn't. Jameer, hang on, where have I gone? I've gone through a lot of comments here. Jameer Gibbs, aka he is the sweetie man. It's the sweetie man coming. Speaking of contracts, which Lions players should get a contract before the season begins? Campbell should, and Gibbs should. They're the ones who should get deals. I want to see Laporta and Branch be healthy and playing well before I give them deals. And we can tag them. You know, we're in no danger. We can tag them if there's any issues there. So I just want to see them be healthy again first. Achilles tear for a DB and a back injury for a tight end are not ideal. So, but definitely before the season, I do want to see Campbell and Gibbs done, and then we don't have to worry about those, because those are the two you really, really don't want to lose. And Branches as well, but I just want to make sure that Achilles is right first. So yeah. Those are the two I really want to pay. Was I thinking of Juice Staley? He's now a running back coach at South Carolina. Oh, is he? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't actually realise he was there. No, I was thinking the guy who he had an illness. Oh, Lord, I'm gonna have to do this now, just so I Patriots coaching staff. He's there. I will find him. Unless he's left, but I don't think he should have. No, is he left? Where am I at? No, he's gone. I'm going to have to go back through time and try and find him. Because it's going to bug me now. Oh no! I'll have to come back to it. I will have to come back to it. I didn't know Juice Staley was at South Carolina though. That's interesting. That'd be a fun fit for him. So a lot is expected of that Gamecocks team this year. So, colour me intrigued. I didn't know that. Appreciate that. The market is the market. It is indeed. Juice had a bunch of good energy, but could put his foot in his mouth at times. Yeah, Juice is one of those who you go to a party and party your ass off with him, but then when it came to something you needed to trust him with, maybe not per se, but he'd always for a good laugh. So, yeah, Juice. Who am I thinking of? I'm going mad here. That's coaching stuff. 2024. This is really gonna bug me. Can't even. I just sound really silly now because I'm trying to go through it. No, I'll have to. Terrell Williams. I don't know why I forgot about Terrell. Yeah, it was Terrell Williams because he went through his illness and that, and hopefully he's all right. But he was the one I was trying to think of. Yeah, glad I've got that out of the way. And which team, if the Lions lose to, will make you lose it? Nearly make you throw the telly out the window. You would like that, wouldn't you, Grandazzy? You'd like to see me crash out. A lot of people like to see me crash out, including Matt. Who would I throw my telly out the window against? Ooh, that's good. Is there anyone I really just don't like? I'm not a hateful man, but I hate losing to the Bears, but I don't think I'd throw my TV out the window. I think, who would it be? The Saints would be up there. I would be very mad if we lost to the Saints, especially first week. Ford Field energy would be pumping, and it's Tyler Shook. I would probably. I mean, it's the first game of the season though, and anything could happen. But I would have quite a tantrum if we lost to the Saints. The Jets, obviously, anyone would have a paddy if they lost to the Jets. Who else have we got? Who would I really not like to lose to? I mean, the Titans, I do like Cam Ward, so I wouldn't be able to have a paddy with. Arizona. I like, if we lost to Arizona, that would be bad. Like, Arizona are firmly in play for the number 1 pick next year. I would really have a hissy fit if we lost to Arizona. That would be a monumental crash out. So they're probably the answer. They shouldn't be involved. Like, we've beaten good Cardinals teams when we were a trash team. Now it's the other way round, and I just wouldn't be able to stand losing to them at all. But obviously the NFC teams are in there. I despise the Bears more than anything, so I would just be mad if we lost to the Bears. Especially, we've got them on Thanksgiving, so you don't want to lose on prime time to them either. The Bucks I respect them, so I couldn't be angry with those. The Bills, I'd be ticked off at, but it's an away game and it's the Bills, so you kind of have to live with it. Dolphins, I got a soft spot for you after your draft class, so, the Dolphins are down my hate list. They're not at the top of my hate list. Falcons, I wouldn't like the Falcons either. No, Arizona would be the top. Arizona would make me throw my telly through the window if we lost to those. So, yeah. Ken goes, he'd left us to the Panthers he had. Oh, I was thinking of Jeff Caldwell. Yeah, I could see why. I think we should let Laporta walk. Williams, the former D-line coach, you thinking about? Yeah, you got it, Terry. I didn't see the comments before then, but yeah, that was the one I was trying to think of, for sure. I've always said out of the 4, Laporta will be the one, I would do it ever so reluctantly. I would despise it, but out of the 4 of them, Laporta's at the bottom of my re-sign list by a long way. And I would still hate it. That's how much I love them all, but I do not want to see Brian Branch play another snap on an NFL team. Just like with JMO. Just, no, don't want to see it. Period. And Laporta's a tight end. Like, you can... I know a tight end room's not good, but it's the easiest position to replace, theoretically. So, Laporta is the one I would let go out of all of them, if I had to. But again, it would be very reluctantly. Caldwell, the former head coach of the Lions. No, that is a long time ago. Grandad goes, he was supposed to be OC for the Finns, but was ill, I believe, and Flores never let him back in. That's fair enough. We need to have a good preseason. Last year's preseason was bad and carried over to the season. I agree. The offensive line needs to play. They need to get some... It just matters too much to us. Even if you've got to risk an injury, you've got to get the line some cohesion. Blake Miller needs some snaps. And you've got to sort the left guard situation out. And there's too much at stake. So I need to see the offensive line in preseason. And I need to see some of the first teamers as well. The guys who were scrapping it out. So yeah, it is big for us. I agree. We need to do more. Because yeah, that Packers game last year was just rough. We looked like it's one of the worst games I've ever seen us play. Measured against the talent we have. Obviously, there were games like the Pats and the Cowboys in the early years where we got shut out and they were bad games. But we had bad teams then. and we didn't play well. That Packers game last year is potentially one of the worst performances I've ever seen us put in before. Same with the Steelers game late in the year. There were a couple of games last year which were terrible, but certainly that Packers game didn't elicit a good feeling to start the year. We recovered pretty nicely after that, but I agree. We need to start hotter this year. We do. Because the Saints will come in. They'll fancy upsetting us if we don't play our best football against the Saints and they come prepared. That's a banana skin for you there. Shuck's got a lot to prove. The team's got a lot to prove. They could bite you on the ass if you don't start well. And if we have a rough start this year, it could be disastrous for us. So yeah, we need to have a good preseason for sure. Ken goes, agree, the Jets would be the one team that would send me to the moon with a loss to them, yeah. And I think because it's Aaron as well. I just do not want to see them win there. People will start paying for that trip. Going to have to change that old saying. Grandad goes, I smashed a tree and ground with a metal pipe when I was a kid when the Finns lost to the Jets in the late 70s. I've never done that yet. I think, who's the maddest I've been? I think the maddest I got was after that Patriots game when we got shut out in year 2. I was apoplectic after that game because it was at the point where I'd started to doubt whether the plan was going to come together. Or was it that there was the Patriots game? There might have been a Dolphins game where the Dolphins wiped us and the Cowboys got us as well. But I think it was definitely the Patriots game where I got apoplectic because it was just so awful. And it was halfway through that second season, and you thought at the end of the first season we'd shown shoots of life, and then halfway through that second year we were just getting blown out, and it was some horrible stuff. But that's probably the worst I've crashed out over a loss whilst we've done the pod. Obviously the Commanders one wouldn't have been good either, but no, in terms of being ragey and apoplectic, I remember I was fuming after that Patriots game. I really was. And probably again the Steelers game last year, I was very mad after that Steelers game last year. Very mad. I think I said a lot of choice stuff in Discord at the time as well. But I've never resorted to actually punching stuff and that yet. I'm usually pretty good when it comes to the emotional side of it, but you will tell by my reaction on Twitter. I'm very emotional on Twitter. But yeah, that Patriots one will always stand out as where I threw one of the biggest hissy fits ever. You might see it this year, who knows, but hopefully not. Hopefully we get to where we're at. I'd lose it if the Lions lost to any team in the Super Bowl. Okay, this is controversial. If we got to the Super Bowl this year, I wouldn't care if we... I would care if we lost, but at least getting to the Super Bowl's going in the right direction. At least it's going in the right direction. In terms of AFC teams who I would despise losing to, who do I hate in the AFC? Baltimore, because they get all the picks that I like. Patriots, Chiefs, I don't like losing to the Chiefs. I would be ecstatic to make a Super Bowl, though. Ecstatic. Absolutely. But yeah, I meant late 60s. We need guys fighting for roster spots. We do. I do think there will be a lot of competition this year. Like the UDFA class especially, I think is going to push people to be better. And then you've got some of the guys like Rakestraw and that coming back from injury. If they start pushing guys, then that'd be like Abney's going to be great for the corners and start pushing them. I like the depth battle, the offensive line, that left guard spot. You make a mistake, you could be out of it. So I actually like the depth we've got fighting for those spots this year, and I think you can afford to let some people go. Like if Abney comes in and performs really well and is playing great and Rakestraw's not doing well, then see ya, bye, hit the road. I think you can do that. So, it's like I think there's genuinely some guys like Manu's spot could be under threat. Varkey's spot could be under threat if they don't perform. Like, I think you've got guys in legitimately now who can, like, if Kendrick Law comes in and does well and you want to use him in the backfield a bit, that makes Varkey's role redundant. I'm sorry, but you've got to start progressing to the first team now and show. And if you can't do that, hit the door. But I think we're in a good position with our depth this year. I actually quite like it for the most part. I think I've just running back and tight end I'm not entirely happy with. But outside of that, I think there's good depth battles all over. And those sport fans' meltdowns can be pretty good. Was it the Bears fans who broke down a door when they lost in the playoffs last year? Potentially. I try not to be like I'm emotional, but I say restraintly emotional. I'm not one of those guys who does goes around hitting stuff, and I don't try to go viral. But I will get angry, but it's sports at the end of the day, and you've got to keep it under control. You do, and I always have been able to, so I won't go viral. Not with crashing out anyhow, at least. I save my viral moments for the draft. I have some of my biggest reactions during the draft when players that I love get drafted elsewhere. That's my thing. Yeah. Ken goes, my maddest games for me are always due to the referees. That's actually true. The Detroit-Dallas in the playoffs left a bad taste I still can't get rid of. I didn't think about it like that. In terms of referees ones, I could probably name you about 20 games that I hated because of the refs. I mean, last year alone, there must have been about 3 or 4 which were just absolutely atrocious. Like that Packers game with LaFleur and the timeout and, the touchdown that wasn't a touchdown that was given as a touchdown, the drop by Pittsburgh. Oh, there's some rough games, but yeah, now that you say that, refereeing crash outs is quite a lot, for sure. The Pats, Bills, Chiefs, Jags. I wouldn't mind playing the Jags in a Super Bowl. I'm playing another underachiever. The Bills. Hey, the Bills are a long-suffering franchise as well. You could kind of get away with that. If Rakestraw gets injured again, he needs to be cut 100%. Zero tolerance policy with Ennis Rakestraw this year for any form of injury. Man's got to start playing, otherwise, that's it. You're wasting a roster spot. His leash is very thin this year. A couple of them, like Levi as well. I love Levi to death. Any more injuries, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. You've just got to... You've got to minimise your injury potential by getting rid of guys who just can't stay healthy. It's a cutthroat business, but unfortunately that is what it is. Lose to the Jags or Texans or those newer era teams. I wouldn't mind those. I just, as long as it's like a new team that wins it. Obviously I'd rather it be us, but if it's someone who's traditionally not had much success, I would never begrudge that because, I would hope that they would think the same about us in that regards. Lions can't let Goff get sacked so much. No, they can't. Hopefully, again, better this year. Blake Miller's a very good pass protector. Sewell will be great, and hopefully we'll have stability. Ratledge is entering year 2. I think the protection should naturally be better this year. And obviously, if we could run the ball a bit better, that would help as well. But I don't think Goff will be in as much trouble this year. At least I hope he won't be. And can you give us more about how Melvin Presley may do for the Lions? What role will he play? I can't do you one right now because, truth be told, I don't really know anything about him whatsoever. In fact, go back to the UDFA program. We did a UDFA show a couple of weeks ago, Grandizer. I know the guys did a thing on Priestley there. I wasn't in charge of his, so. But check out the UDFA show. We definitely did a profile on him there, but I'll have a look again, and we'll see what's what with him. But we definitely did something for that. Which Roar the Lions UK hosts are the most likely to throw their telly out the window? Actually, none. I don't think Ash would. I don't think Matt would. I don't know. I probably get the most emotional. Maybe... because I'm very victim of the moment thing. I don't know. Ryan might. I think Ryan could. But I think it would probably be me out of all 3 of them. But I wouldn't do it. I don't think any of them really would, to be fair. So, we're Brits, Grandizer. We've got class. We don't throw TVs out the window and stuff. We've got our British culture about us, so, That's one of those. I would never punch a hole in the wall. I rent, so if I punched a hole in the wall, I'd be in a lot of trouble, so that's just not happening. Maybe someone who owns their own house would be in that stakes, but certainly not me. Do you think Miller beats Larry Boreham out in camp for starter, or will it be sometime in the season? That's an interesting question. There's what would the Lions do and what would I do? I don't know. I do feel like the overall situation with it, I feel like Boreham's been brought in to be the starter whilst Miller is brought up to speed and will take over during the season. That's what I feel like. I feel like it is Boreham's start, Miller's succession as the season goes on. What would I like? I'd prefer to just throw Miller in from day one, because I don't think... And with the schedule as well, you've got the Saints and the Jets up first, so you've got two good games at home to get some confidence, like some confidence boosting wins, get some good reps under the belt. Games which you should dominate and should have some success in. So I think it's a good opportunity to get tune-up games there and get him ready for the harder parts of the season. If not, then maybe Boreham starts till the bye, and then Miller comes in for that big stretch of home games we've got after the bye and does it that way. So in my world, he starts day one. I think in Lions' world that Boreham starts and Miller comes in by the end of the year for sure, and they do it that way. Who knows, they might play a lot of big package and use 6 men and use them both. That would also be ideal, but Boreham's not the future, Miller is, and I think you've got a great opportunity to give Miller the reps he needs early without putting the team at a disadvantage. So that's the way I'd do it. They said they didn't know much about him. Okay, in that case, Grandizer, I will do more of a deep dive on Priestley. I'll have a look at him when I get opportunity to. I thought that I wasn't on the show at that. I came on the show late, so I didn't know how much or how little they'd done on him. So we'll do something for you. You ask, you get. These the rules. Hank would get mad. Hank's chill. You know Hank's the chillest of them all. He's doing well. There was a Monty Python skit. Bad salespeople had their TVs thrown out the window. There's a lot of good Monty Python skits out there. They're all good. There's no bad Monty Python skits. 3 safety look on defense. Interesting. I mean, it depends really. Personnel wise, obviously not having Branch in is tough. Like, you can do it with Branch. I feel outside of that, I think you're going to struggle. And hang on, let's just have a look. I just have to refresh this for myself at points. So obviously Kirby as well, we don't know what's going on with him. Obviously having Izzian in there helps, but I think in an ideal world, if you're going to do 3, you kind of have Branch playing as, you know, your stud, the linebacker safety type, and then you have Kirby, maybe Maddox or Izzian as your deeper safeties. I think when they're all healthy, maybe... I mean, we talked about this the other day in terms of what formation they're going to use this year. I think you feel like they've got to use 2 linebackers, like do a 4-2-5. You feel like that's the way they've got to go. It's just, do they want to play a slot corner or a third safety? I don't know, but it could certainly be something they try, but I think you've got to get the personnel back first. I don't think you can do it with the personnel you've got. And I don't think I really want to do it with the guys we got either. So, I mean, but potentially though, it could be an interesting... I do like the 3 safety look. I think it's quite fun when you get it right. There's one at teams college teams I've been previewing recently. I can't remember who it is off the top of my head, but they're running it and they've got 3 really good safeties doing it. I'm going to highlight it when we get to it, but you know, it's fun when it's done right. But yeah, not until Branch is back. I don't think you would, but we will see with it. Lisa goes, sorry I was interrupted by my partner. Don't be sorry, Lisa. I just appreciate having you in the building, you know, for however little or long it is. You know, the fact that you take your time to come on here is much appreciated. And for a future stream, does this Lions season have a player record that will be broken? Most touchdown passes, most yards thrown, other. Ooh, that's interesting. Lions records that can be broken. See, that's one of those ones where I'd have to really go away and research it, because I can't just can't really just list all the records off the top of my head. Let's have a look at some of the records, some of the more stats records. Let's have a look and see what could be done. See if anyone can break things. I don't think passing yards, because Stafford had that 5,000 yard season, which I just don't think will be repeated. Single season leaders. Why is it just not easy to go and find stats leaders historically? Feel like obviously passing leader's not going to be broken. Most career points isn't going to be broken. Like, there's a lot of these records which are going to stand the test of time, which are going to be really tough. Calvin's record's not under threat right now for receiving leader. Rushing leader's not under threat. Passing leader's not under threat. What other stats have we got? You'll have to bear with me. I'll come back to it in a minute. Season stat leaders. Dun 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 dun. Historical records. Alright, you've kind of stumped me a little bit on there. I feel like we'll have to do a show dedicated to Lions records and whether those records can be broken or not. Because the way Amon-Ra's going, Amon-Ra could beat Calvin's receiving yards record. But it's going to take him some time to do so. Gibbs could probably break some records. In terms of his... Especially now Monty's not here. Let me just see what the rushing leaders by season are. So, Barry had his 2,000 yard year. In terms of rushing touchdowns, Jamal Williams has the record at 17. That record could be under threat this year, because Gibbs is second on that list with Barry. Okay, I'm just going to say for now, that record is under threat. Jamal Williams' single season record of 17 touchdowns. That'll be broken. Because Gibbs is just going to get so many touches there that, there's every chance he's able to do that. But in terms of the main record, we can have a look through some of them. Most receiving yards. Because we've got some on there. So Amon-Ra's fourth on our receiving yard. You know what's crazy? Amon-Ra is he's like halfway towards Calvin's receiving yards record, which is absolutely nuts. But Amon-Ra's going to go third all time this year. He'll pass Johnny Morton. He's only got Herman Moore and Calvin Johnson to go, but he needs... what are we on about? About 5,500 yards Amon-Ra needs to beat Calvin's receiving yards record. Now, at the rate Amon-Ra's going, that should happen within the next 4 years. Which would be crazy, because Amon-Ra will barely be 30 years old if he carries on at his current level of production. But that's a long-term record that certainly is under threat. Herman Moore had just over 9,000. I think Amon-Ra's going to beat that. He's got less than 3,000 yards to go. 2 years' time, potentially 3 years' time, that's gone. And then he's just got to go and get Calvin. Jameer, I don't think Jameer's going to threaten Barry's records. Here's where I can get them all. This is so much better. But Jameer is 6th all time on rushing yards right now. He's probably going to go 4th this year, and then he'll be second. In 2 years' time, he'll be our second all time leading rusher. he's only got 1,500 yards to go to match Billy Sims, which is crazy. Like, his level of production. To be honest, 1,500. Jameer Gibbs could be our second leading all-time rusher by the time he's done this year. 1,500 is not out. He's had a 1,500 yard season before, so he could easily get there. But then he's got over 10,000 yards to go to catch Barry up. So I don't think that's a record that's ever going to be broken. But there's certainly some of the long-term ones are under threat right now, for sure. So yeah, that's the future record that would be broken. I don't think Goff's going to break any of Staff's records. To be fair, we've got too good a rushing attack, and he's not gonna go over 5,000 yards. I don't think. 3 safety look with Branch. I so agree. Yeah, that'll be the fun one when he's eventually back. Bobo goes, you live on the West Coast now, Lisa. It's pronounced partner. Oh, we're not doing the whole. We're not doing linguistical stuff again. I get involved. I get sucked into these linguistical debates. I never come out of them good there. So, Lisa goes, do you have a win-loss early prediction for the season? And my early one is. I said I think we'd do 11 or 12. I think 13-4 is where I'm at. Obviously, the Bills game's going to be tough. I would say we're going to lose at least 2 NFC North games, potentially road games as well. And then you've got the Pats in Germany, and you've got the Bucks at home. So I think you might have another one out of that. So my early season one right now is 13-4. I think there's just so many, like. At home, I would expect us to maybe lose one of our 9 home games. Technical 9. If we include Pats, I would expect us at worst to be 7-2 with our 9 home games. At worst. If we lose more than 2 of our home games, then I would be very surprised and concerned. And then away from home, I would expect 2 to 3 losses. As I say, just random statistics of the NFC North, and that Buffalo game will be really tough, so you could potentially do that there. So 13-4 is my very, very early prediction for there. Do other people? I'm interested to hear all your thoughts as well. So if any of you guys have any early season predictions as well, just let me know in the comments. But 13-4 is mine. Grandizer goes, wonder if Goff can break any of Stafford's records. No. I mean, as well, Stafford was here for so many years. Goff won't be here long enough to break any of Stafford's records. Like he's just not going to be able to do it. He's barely halfway to the passing touchdown. Like Stafford had 282 touchdown passes. Goff's got 149. I mean, the most in a season. What is the most Staff's thrown in a season for us? Touchdowns. It was that 2011 season where he threw 41, which was nuts. Goff, what's the most Goff thrown for us? Oh, he managed 37, and he got 34 last year. I don't know if Stafford's the record holder though. I feel like Bobby Lane or someone might have it. In an ideal world, Goff ain't throwing 42 touchdown passes because you want the rushing offense to be a bit more. Like, the more passing touchdowns and stuff you've got, generally the worse the rushing offense is, which is not good for us. He could potentially go for 42. But yeah, he won't be here long enough to break Stafford's statistical records. It just won't happen. I don't think anyone ever will, really. Those are records that will stand the test of time now. Unless we draft someone and they spend their entire career here, but it would take a lot. Yeah, I know what you mean, Stafford as a Lion. He still won't break statistical records for the Lions. Like, Staff here had, like, most of his time, most of his stats are from here. He's got just over 45,000 passing yards for the Lions. And I mean, that on its own would get him pretty high in history. Goff is at 21,500. So he's got another 20,000, let's say 21,000 yards to beat what Staff is. Goff throws at roughly 4,000 yards a year. Now, depending on if you get playoffs and stuff like that, fine, but you're talking another 5 years of high-level production from Goff to get there. And, I love Jared, but I don't think he's got 5 years of, 4,000 yard seasons left in him. I think there's probably 2 or 3 there, so, no. I don't think he does break any of those records, really. My lord, I've fallen behind with the comments. Where are we at? 147. So we'll go for about another 15 minutes. So I'll keep scrolling through the comments. But if you've got any questions you really want to ask, then get them in now over the next 15, so I can get everything answered. I know, Mile Marker, I apologise. I've missed a couple of your questions that you asked. I will get them answered. If not in this show, I will do it. I will. I answered the Minnesota Bison one. In terms of undrafted free agents, I'd still pick up. We'll do a show on that shortly. When we start doing our roster stuff. So I'll answer it on that, because the quick answer is right now, off the top of my head, I can't really think of the free agents that are still on the market, and people are still going to get cut. So we'll do a more in-depth thing on that as we go along. If Gibbs has a Pro Bowl and All-Pro year, wonder if he might outprice what the Lions want to pay. That would be insane. Hopefully he's paid before the season and he has an All-Pro year. If he has an All-Pro year and he's not got a new contract by next year, we've still got him on the tag, so it doesn't matter. We've got him for the next 2 years. If he has 2 All-Pro years, then we're in trouble. But no, I don't think there's a world where Gibbs outprices himself, because we've still got 2 years of control. Amon-Ra St. Brown, aka the Sun Gods. Lisa goes, I've got 12 or 13 wins also. Love it. Forward down the field, indeed. Terry goes 9 and 8 right now. If we have a good preseason, I will change it. I get it. There is right to be skepticism around the team this year, so I can buy it. If you offered me 9 wins and getting in the playoffs right now, I'd take it. Don't matter how you get there, I will take getting to the playoffs. Indeed. When we reach 2,500 subs, we'll show off some dance moves. You know what? In that case, we'll do that. When we reach 2,500 subs, Grandizer, I will pull out some dance moves for you. Okay, let's, because our sub train has stalled a little bit recently, so let's put some incentives out there. Maybe we'll make it a Patreon thing or something. I don't know, but when we get to 2,500 subs, we'll celebrate for sure. Ken goes, I think 10 and 7 is the basement, 14 and 3 the ceiling. I predict 12 and 5. That sounds pretty accurate. I think our basement is 10 as well. I just think, unless injuries and, touch wood, really, really screw us, I don't think there's a world in which we can't win 10 games here. Like, the home schedule alone should give us 8 wins. At minimum 7. So you only need to win 3 road games after that, and you get to go to Arizona, you get to go to Miami. No offense, Grandizer. It's your road schedule's not insane either. So 10 wins should be the bare minimum for damn sure. Lisa goes, Stafford has the most in a season as a Lion, I believe. Yeah, he had the 5,000 yard year where he didn't even make a Pro Bowl, which was crazy. But that was back in the day when we couldn't get the run game to work for us. So I wouldn't want Goff to break Stafford's record, because that means something's gone seriously wrong. Weirdly enough, the less yards for Goff, the better it is, because it means our run game's functioning, and the team's better when the run game's functioning the way it is. I love Jared, but we don't want him to be throwing for 50 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. Unless we have a run game which fits it and we've got like a 9,000 yard offense or something like that, but those are very rare. Terry goes, if we win the Super Bowl with Goff, Stafford won't matter. Nope, no he won't. Stafford doesn't matter to me now anyhow. Like, Goff's our guy, Goff's my guy. The umbilical cord is well and truly cut, in my case, with him. Yeah, guys are listing out all the UDFAs. Yeah, it's a good bunch of UDFAs this year, for absolute sure. Yeah, Stafford has to leave. I don't really care about it anymore. We had some great years with him, but he wanted to go. Power to him. But yeah, Goff's our future now. and that's kind of it. It's really, 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 really simple for me. It is what it is. And if Stafford wins another Super Bowl with the Rams, he'll go into the Hall of Fame as a Ram. He'll not go in as a Lion. So, that will probably hurt a little bit more. But like he's known for his Rams stuff now. He always will be. Mal Barker goes, congrats on the new job, Ant. We're cheering you on. Hey, I appreciate it. Small steps and all. It's been 2 months since I had my breakdown. And yeah, we've come a long way since then. We're a lot better now. And job working again, we get money again, we'll get stable, and we'll start living life a little bit again. So I appreciate that. I really do. Again, I say this every time, and I know it gets soppy, and I know you're probably bored of it, but you guys obviously mean everything to us. You do. And we wouldn't do it if you weren't here. And this podcast has got me through some very dark times. So, it's, shout out to you all. So, I appreciate the thanks for that, Marmarker. I really, really do. Okay, we'll go for 10. So, I've still got 10 minutes left. So, if you want to ask anything else, then please do so. I know you did ask me another question, Granizer, about college players and their ability to train outside of their colleges during the off-season like NFL players do. The answer is yes, they can. I will do more in depth. In fact, I thought it would be a good episode for the college pod, that to sort of detail what the recruits do while they're off season. But if you think it's obviously you've got your spring ball and your summer workout, so you've got time in between. But there are events, like the Manning Academy. Stuff like that they can go to. There are competitions that I think they can, as long as they get permission from the team, go and do bits elsewhere. But like I say, yeah, the Manning Passing Academy is one of the more popular ones of that. A lot of the quarterbacks go to that and they train there and they do their competitions there as well. I know they do that in high school before they come up as well. So, but yeah, they can. They will do, and a lot of college players will work with former NFL players. Like a lot of former NFL players have academies and stuff like that. They'll go and train with them as well, so they can train away from their team as long as it's sanctioned, I believe. But again, I'll do a more in-depth thing on that because it's something that's not very looked after very much. But like especially the Manning Passing Academy, that becomes more of an intriguing thing because a lot of like underrated QBs get to go to that, and you get to see them sort of lock heads with players who are a lot better than them and come from much better teams, and it's actually been quite a useful source to find guys from there. Obviously, some have flamed out, some have worked pretty well. So, but yeah, I will do something more in depth on that as well when we get to it. Yeah, for sure. Ken Stader goes, eating food as well, I hope. Indeed, all aboard the Lions hype train. Yep, we're ready for it. I'm ready for the season again already. I'm ready for the college season as well. College season's going to be fun. I think we're going to the Arizona State game, which is coming over to London, which is going to be good fun. We get to go and watch I'm hoping Ryan will come as well, but we get to go watch the Sun Devils live, which is going to be good fun as well. Lisa goes, always wishing you well, and we have your back for sure. I appreciate it. I really, really do. Again, you don't see a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes, but know that your contributions are incredibly valuable and we couldn't work without them. Hence why we're going through all the effort of rebranding this thing and taking it forward into the future. I'm retraining on my editing skills and all this. So these streams, instead of just me, I can put information on the screens and stuff like that. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm a real Neanderthal when it comes to it. So we're doing courses, we're taking bits like that, we're rebranding the show, we're doing all sorts. We're already starting with our guests for next year as well. So we're going to have guests every week for the team previews. I've made sure of that, and yeah, I've got like 2 pages worth of notes and stuff. Of improvements that we're making for the pod this year. So yeah, we're certainly pushing ahead with it. And again, because you lot listen to us. If you didn't, we wouldn't do it at all, and I would be very bored in my life without podcasting. I would be very bored indeed. I can't imagine a world where I wouldn't do it now. Detroit Lions News. Tennessee Titan Miles Kitselman signs with the Lions after going undrafted. Yep, one of the UDFAs. I know Poole loves Kitselman. I haven't really done as much on him, so I'm all on the E40 train. He's going to be the one. But there's some good ones. Deshaun Rucker, I think, will get on the roster eventually. I think Eric Neal could fight his way on there. You want Keane Ainu. He's the only nose tackle technically on the roster, so he could fight his way onto the roster potentially. Kitselman can in a depleted tight end room, so you may see one or two of the UDFAs knocking around on the roster. If they want to go with 3 quarterbacks, they could take Altmaier, but again, I'm not a fan of Altmaier at all. I know a lot of people are. Me personally, I am not. I don't think he's that good, but who knows? We'll see. Sounds adventurous. Yeah, it's good times. Again, last year's been really tough. Obviously, losing Steve and Ryan losing, his missus, Lorraine. 3 of us losing work. It's been very tough. We've kind of had to stand pat with the podcast this year. Social issues have just really taken over everything, but we're settled now. So we can really push this thing forward and, make it even better than it already is. So yeah, it's going to be good fun. Indeed. And wait, what if I missed? If you could, when you're talking about a particular player, have his name in a banner, that would be great. I often come in late. I have no clue what I'm on about. Yeah, we're going to do stuff like that. Like, I've got the ticker right now. I've had to take it off because the ticker stopped working for some reason. Streamlabs can be a right pain, but like with the college pod and that, I want to be able to put information up on the screen in bulk and have things on there so that you can read through it all on screen instead of just listening to me with it all. Like for the team previews this year, like there's a ton of information that goes into the team previews and it's just me sat here reading it out. I'm trying to create some slides where I can put like the base information for you, the records, some of the better players, so that you can read through it and digest it a little bit easier as well, and that and then we're going to clip them so you can just find individual teams rather than having to go through them all. There's a lot, and when I started doing this, we had no idea. Like, our editor left us and we've had to try and learn it all from scratch. So it's just trying to do it outside of work. But now I've got work again and I've got time out of it. We're going to learn it. So I understand, and I share it entirely. Like, I know these streams they're so basic and they need to be a lot better in doing their information. So for sure, Ken, that's going to be a big point of emphasis here. We're doing, I think we've got some time set out next week. We're just going to put Streamlabs on and we're going to mess with all the features on here, and we're redoing all our graphics and audio and stuff like that. So hopefully we can create new graphics to do it. So don't trust me. Your feedback is definitely noted. We know that we need to be better with that, but we kind of got to the point where the pod was always a passion project, but now we've reached a stage where we need to become more professional with it and do it properly, or stop doing it, and we don't want to stop doing it. So we're gonna, we're gonna be more professional with it. As I say, with the college pod especially, it will make it a lot easier. So yeah, again, your notes are on board. We are gonna do that for absolute sure to make it easier for you guys. Lisa goes, this is my favourite podcast and Q&A Fridays is the best. I'm glad and I appreciate it. I really enjoy doing these. It kind of makes me mad that we didn't do them quicker. I've been suggesting doing more content for ages, and like a Q&A, because when we're just doing Monday to Monday, like, it's a long time to not see us. So I wanted to do something in the middle, and these are quite fun because you just get to sit down and just chat about anything really, and just be a lot more informal about it. So I think the Friday Q&As are going to stay now, just permanently, because you guys still like them in the off season. I thought the interest might drop off a bit. It hasn't. So I think we're just going to continue doing them indefinitely, unless my new job is nighttime work. So if I'm working Friday nights, I will have to change the day around. potentially a little bit or do them earlier, but we will do a weekly Q&A because I'll have one of them off, so they're here to stay. Did the Lions have a video to introduce the Lions schedule? They did. I didn't see it. I was working. That was I'm losing track of days. It was last night here, which was the day before. It's confusing. I didn't get to see it. I've not seen it. I've not seen any of them, to be fair. I think Ash or Taib posted them all in our Discord. I've yet to get around to it. I think they kept it pretty basic from what I heard. But the I've not even watched the Chargers one yet, and I always watch the Chargers one, so I will keep an eye out on them. But I've not seen ours yet. I don't know what it was to do with, so I will have to. I might do that when I'm done here. To be fair, Grandizer goes, and I stand behind you all the way too. Appreciate you, Grandizer, as always. And yes, I know not that way. Just like that when the Lions might do that to the Dolphins when we see you there, but all in good spirit. Ken goes, I also like when they show the order of the show and highlight the current topic. Yeah, that's what McAfee does. Yeah, you're right. We can do a lot. Again, it's doing all the graphics and getting the cameras in and stuff. It's just like a lot of pods have video editors and people who know what they're doing. Like that's like a job in itself. But I agree, a scrolling index will be. You want to find reference points, and then like how they do the cut scenes where it cuts the video down and it has a little header on it so you can see where you're at. We want to do those as well. So yeah, there's a lot we can do there. But we are putting time towards it. So when we hit the 6th year anniversary, we'll show you the rebrand. Like we could, even if we get the work done before, we're going to make a big fuss of it this year. I don't think we're going to do another 24-hour stream, not for year 6, but we might just do a rebrand show where we, show you all the new stuff that we've learnt and done, and that gives us a few months to get it all done. So that'll be fun when we eventually get there. Bob O'Lan goes, you guys are great, Ant-Man MO. Hey, again, appreciate you. Thank you for all the lovely comments. They genuinely do make me incredibly happy. So, yeah, again, thank you. I probably am at the soppy part now where I'm just thanking you all and the questions have really stopped. But, I think it's always important to tell you guys how much you mean to us coming on these. Grandizer goes, I thought a super cool intro song for when you lads go live is the old glam rock song Blockbuster. I mean, we could if we wouldn't get penalised for it, copyright and stuff like that. That's actually the first thing. We've just commissioned somebody to create our new intro and outro for the audio pods. We're going to put some spoken word over it. So that's hopefully going to be done within the next 3 to 4 days. But we're commissioning professionals to do it for us. So the intro and outro music's first, which should be done in a few days. Then we're doing the YouTube intros and outros. Instead of having like the blue screen with a ticker timer on it, we're going to change those, come up with an awesome new opening and all that sort of stuff. And we're hiring professionals to do it. So it's all gonna be done, but it is gonna be a rock based. The audio intro is gonna be more towards a rocky based thing, but with a British twist. So, look forward to that. And working at night. I've worked nights before. It's not ideal, especially at 36 when I'm here on my own. But it is what it is. It's a nice place. It's a lovely place. Keeps me busy. Gets plenty of steps in. I've done 21,000 steps today because I've played some football as well, so I'll drop some weight as well, which will be fun. Yeah. So mean. I like to play with you, Grandizer. Not in that way, but I like to poke fun at you. Because I know you can take it, and you'll take it like a gentleman. Again, no puns intended. Right, I think we are about there. These Q&As go so quickly, over 2 hours in, but once again, I appreciate all of you who have dropped by and asked your questions and bits like that. As I say, Mile Marker, with a couple of yours, I will do more in-depth things for that. But hopefully the Minnesota and NDSU stuff was good enough for this evening. And as always, you can drop your questions into us during the week. I always put a post up on YouTube. I put one up on Twitter as well. If you do want to ask something that's going to take me a bit more time, then just ask them a bit earlier, and I'll get them sorted for the show, and then obviously I'll do the questions live as we take them usually. But I give you every opportunity to get them in early, so I can do a better job of answering them. In terms of next shows coming up, next show is Monday, so we will be doing, so for the next 2 weeks it is schedule. So for those of you who know us, you know what's coming. For those who don't, we basically spend 2 weeks looking at our opponents for next year. So the first 7 unique opponents and the second 7 unique opponents we'll do in 2 shows, where we will look at the team, we look at their roster, we look at their draft class, we deep dive into them a little bit more and give our thoughts on it, how they drafted, how the team looks, how we feel about playing them, etc. And we do that over 2 weeks because it takes a bit of time to do them. So that's what's coming up on there, which will be good fun. Then obviously as the season comes up, we'll get all our guests on to do the previews with us and give us, the most in-depth preview you would get of the teams. But this is kind of our thoughts on these teams first before we start getting the guests on for them. So that's the next 2 weeks there. The college football pod, as I mentioned, it's going to be back soon. I'm just doing my work on the conference previews right now and trying to sort guests. So I want it to be going again within 2 weeks because, the season's going to come really quickly and we've got a lot to get through. So I know I've said it now, but I've just been busy with switching jobs and that. So hopefully within the next week or two, the college pod gets up and going again. And plus, Ryan's had his hair transplant, so we need to wait for Ryan's hair to start growing and his head to stop being so sore so he can put on headphones again. Because he doesn't want to be bald anymore, so he's had a Turkish hair transplant, which looks painful as. So you'll get to see bald Ryan next time because his hair won't have grown. So you'll have 2 baldies on the college football pod when it's back, which will be fun, at least for a little while. And then obviously I'll be back next week. I'm not working next Friday, so we'll have a Q&A again next Friday. So anything you can think of in the meanwhile, feel free to ask, and hopefully I'll get to see you all again and do this again. It's all good fun. But yeah, that's everything in terms of what is coming up. Don't think we've missed any comments there. Lisa goes, thank you, I appreciate you. Grandizer goes, Detroit Rock City, baby, absolutely. Mal Marcus says, thank you. Grandizer, thank you for all the, putting out there of the socials and bits like that. Ken goes, be well all, thanks, and good luck in the new job. And try and scalp, indeed. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody. You keep enjoying your new house, Lisa. And yeah, just have a good time. I shall see you again on Monday. Hopefully you all have a good one. And yeah, we'll see you on Monday to go through our first 7 opponents next year and what we think about them. Thank you, everybody. One Pride worldwide. This has been ROTL UK. I am the Ant-Man, the Brit with Grit, and this is me signing out. See you on the next one.